Hi, everyone. Welcome to Clientology Daily Insights. As always, I am your host, Jeff Bourgeois. And today I want to invite you, as always, to join our Clientology community. It is a free community where like minded professionals share ideas on client getting, and we share some new experiments and things we're working on. So I'd love to have you there. You can either click the link below in the show notes or you can scan the QR code. It is forever free, and we do this to add value to our community. Now, one of the questions I get asked a lot about is how do I self-publish on Amazon? And really, the question is usually how do I self-publish? My advice is I always start with Amazon. You can get fancier. There's always an advantage if you have a local printer that you know, like, and trust. The challenge is usually local printers can't get the same rates, can't get the same turnaround as Amazon. So I'm going to show you how to set up an account on Amazon, and we'll just jump right in. I won't actually do it just because once you set it up, then you've got an active account, but I will put this link in the show notes. Excuse me. If you go to kdp.amazon.com, you can take it from there. And so this particular help topic, I just want to point out KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing. It is Amazon's self-publishing guide. So the first thing you need to do is, if you don't have one, you need to create a KDP account. And if you have an existing Amazon account with Amazon Prime, for example, you can just sign into the kdp.amazon.com. If you don't have an Amazon account, you're going to have to create a Kindle Direct Publishing right here. So I'll just show you what that looks like. So either you sign in or you click here to sign as a different user. And really, truly, it's easy to do. So I'm just going to show you what we do next. So from here, you can get information. You need to set up your author publisher information. You obviously want to set up your banking information so you get paid. If Amazon sells books, they pay you a royalty for that. And you also want to figure out the tax information so that you're having the right withholdings and things like that. Now, once you've logged in, this is the fun part. So you can see this is me logged in. This is my bookshelf, and this is the reports in terms of how many books you've sold, things like that. There's some marketing resources for you in here. We're generally not that worried about the marketing, but it doesn't hurt to get the marketing done right if you need a little extra help. So if you're going to publish a new book, you go to the bookshelf. And I'm just going to show you, let's see, I think this one, for some reason, this one isn't published, so let's go there. So you want to go to, it'll ask you, and most of these are pretty self-explanatory. So Paperback Details, I like to start with the paperback first. If you have a need for a Kindle version or an e-reader version or a hardcover, that's another conversation. I'm just going to show you how to quickly set up a paperback. So first things first, you have to put the title of the book, the subtitle, and this particular book is part of a series, so you can see the series details are there. You put in your author details, first name, last name, any prefixes, suffixes. If you have co-authors, you can add them here. So, if somebody added a foreword or they're an illustrator or something like that, you can put their details. And then I put enough here about the book so that somebody can read it and say, yeah, I'd like to read that. And literally in my books, I have a section saying who should read this book. So I just copy and paste that into there. Now, you're going to obviously own the copyright or you can't publish it. And then here you want to list sort of the general categories that the book would fall under. the keyword, sorry, and then you're allowed up to 2 categories, so you can just browse and pick the 2 that you think are most relevant. And if it's a low content book like a journal or notebook, you check that box. If you have a large print book, I think the font has to be at least 16 point. So if you have a large font, you can click that. And you want to answer the yes or no about language, etc., around children. And so then you save and continue. Now, a couple of things: you cannot change the name of your book after it's been published. So make sure you really, really are ready with the name of the book. And you can do a little research. ISBN stands for International Standard Book Number. I always get one um, from the Amazon from Kindle. So you can see mine has been assigned this ISBN. If you, for some reason, already have one, you can use the existing one. Publication date, I usually just let Amazon fill that in, so I leave it blank. Now here you want to pick what color of or type of paper you want. So do you want a black and white book with white paper, with cream paper? Do you want color, standard or premium? And just know that the more there's different options, and if you have color, you pay more for the book. Most of my books are black and white, so I leave it there. Generally, I use the 6x9. In workbook scenarios, I'll use 8.5x11 as the size of the book. And with bleed settings, if you have a PDF, you can use the bleed. That's fancy technical stuff. I always leave it at no bleed. And then cover, you can decide if you want sort of the matte or the glossy finish. Personally, I like glossy, so I usually use that. Now, there are a couple things here. When it comes to the paperback, what I've learned is it works best to print to PDF. I use Word to prepare my manuscripts. I print to PDF, and then you can see I upload the PDF. And then the cover creator, usually I upload, I'll show you how the cover creator looks. So I upload the front page as an image. So I create this in Canva and then I upload it here. And then I put a tiny little bio of me as the author, obviously a headshot. And again, this is directly from my Who Should Read This Book section. So I just copy and paste it in there. And you can pick colors and fonts and stuff like that. I'll let you play around. And then once it's done previewing, it'll come up with once it's done updating, it comes up with a preview. And I'm going to hit save and submit. Now you'll notice that I have 2 different colors. They seem to be close enough. I don't worry about perfection. I worry about done. So now you can see I have successfully uploaded my manuscript. I've updated the cover. Now, I'm not going to show you this part because it sometimes takes a few minutes, but basically you want to launch the previewer. Actually, I do have to show you this. So we'll launch the previewer. And one of the unique things when you print to PDF from Word, it, for some reason, again, maybe I haven't played with the settings enough. I usually just use the default and it prints to 8.5x11. So when you come into the book preview, it'll say you have a whole bunch of pages that are off the page, or sorry, a bunch of content that's off the page. So there's actually an option where it will allow you to scale. So I'm going to actually, I'll show you how to do that. And then I'll show you how to finalize the book. So I'm just going to pause here until this is ready to go. All right, welcome back. So that took about 3-4 minutes. Sometimes I've seen it take up to 15 minutes. It depends on the book and things like that. Now, as I mentioned here, it says error if your book has errors. And this is the thing I mentioned, that it says you chose 6 by 9, but your interior file was submitted at 8.5 by 11. Now, if you play around with the settings, you can probably make this go away, but I just always do it. And then what this gives you is a copy of your book as it would be printed. So you can see we have the front cover, we've got the back cover. This is the spine of the book. And so I always put my call to action on the front of the book. So the very first thing they see. And then I have the book title and my dedication, and then table of contents. So you can see what your book will look like. And if you're publishing for the first time, I recommend you scroll through. And if there's other errors, they will show up over here. As you can see, I've done this before. So the only issue I had was the scaling. Now you can either exit without approving, or you can approve. I would, if I have a mistake and I'm like, oh, I got to go back and fix it, then you have to re-upload, go to your source, re-upload the manuscript, change it, change the cover. And then what you see here now is your printing cost. So if I wanted an author copy of this book, my printing cost is $3.67 per book on Amazon.ca, and that's Canadian dollars. And you can see they give you prices on the different Amazon platforms. And then last but not least, you want to save and continue. And this gets into the pricing of the book. So you decide where you want to sell it, if you want to just sell it in one territory or globally. I am in Canada, so I get most of my book sales through Amazon.ca. And here you want to set your price. Typically, I like to keep my books around $20. Again, I'm not in the business of selling books. I tend to give mine away, but this is if somebody goes online and finds it, they can buy it themselves. So you can pick the prices. If you put the price in up here, it'll automatically translate that into other currencies. So I usually just leave it as is. And then once you're happy, you're satisfied, you want to publish. And that just makes it official. So once it's published, you can't change the name or the subtitle or the language of the book. And here you go. If you wanted to create an ebook, you would just click on the Start Your Ebook Now. I'm not into the ebooks. I know that we should be, but the reality is I like to physically give somebody a copy of my book. So unless I'm going to go out and buy a bunch of Kindles, I'm not going to give away ebooks. And you hit close. Now, you might have a strategy or reason for ebooks. In that case, go ahead. But that is how you self-publish on Amazon. I hope that was helpful and useful for you.